We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Do you want us to talk about what's going on in the world more broadly with the assassination of Charlie, September 11th? Man, it's a tough day to do a stream. I'll tell you what, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I've been pretty down the past 24 hours since hearing the news. Edgar, what's up? How are you? There we go. All right, let's see. I see you. I think you're on mute. I think it auto mutes you.
Perfect. How's this?
You open your voice, it mutes you. It's like, this is gonna be dumb. I'm just gonna mute. Gonna mute.
You want to be careful, especially on Pump, for sure.
I know the AI over. It just muted me now. I was saying that too quickly. It just muted and turned off my camera.
All right, let's try this again.
Try this again. I'm hoping that we're back in the game. I think Pump has had so
This
much.
looks good.
Yes, Pump has had so much demand recently that they just are back to scaling challenges. Can we keep the servers running?
I mean, they're building their stack all in house, as I understand it, right?
Yeah.
Which is relatively controversial to, I guess, the landscape, right? But I'd love to hear your take on it. Obviously, we're here to talk about Scout, right?
Yep.
But I'm a huge fan of Pump's live streaming feature.
Yep.
Dark is spinning up its content. You're seeing something. Barrett's bringing in the Dark sign.
Oh, Barrett! Tell Barrett I say hi. Yeah. By the way, we love.
I
Barrett.
will. He's right here. He's right here. We'll do the. This is a pre. So we're setting. We're obviously at the mtnDAO office in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I recognize the chairs. I recognize the chairs.
Yep. So we're actually setting up a world-class live streaming setup here.
That's great.
And it's going to be open. It's going to be sponsored by Dark, but it's going to be open to anyone who comes through mtnDAO, whether it's during the summits, February and August, or outside of that.
Wow.
And we're really focusing on cinematic content, high quality content. And obviously, because of my work with Dark, we'll be streaming a lot through Pump on that.
I love
it. I'm super excited about, I think, the live streaming feature for Pump is exciting, but I think live streaming and content is something that's underinvested in crypto in general.
I agree.
And especially with the, Gen Z Web 2 kind of cinematic push that we've seen on the internet in the last few months, I think it's, as good of a time as any to kind of invest further there. So all to say that I'm excited to be here.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, so when I started TheTrenches, my general there's a couple parts of my thesis. One is if it's like I started streaming and creating content because I consumed a lot of content. I found over the past 5 years, I used to do mostly reading of articles, and now I find myself, and the Google algorithm pushes me that way too. When I want content, it pushes me to YouTube. Like that's the default play now, is go to YouTube instead of go read an article somewhere or go read a forum. And so as part of that, I was like, well, if I'm consuming so much more content, maybe I should also be creating said content. And so that was the first thing where I was like, I need to get in the game instead of just writing. I really need to stream or create content as well. And then the other thing is I feel like content is actually coming quite mature in other industries. And so it's so manufactured. It's actually not enjoyable. And what I love about live streaming is it's authentic and raw. Like I didn't, if I ask Edgar a hard question, like you're seeing it live, you're seeing his face response. Like there's no shroud here that he can hide behind. He can't even duck behind. Maybe he can duck behind that dark.
Unless Pump just rugs the video, just I'm on mute. I'm on mute.
Technical issues. It's like Gainsey, how he sold 40% of his coin. He's like, oh, it was a fat finger. I made it 300K on a fat finger. But anyways, I'm like, people want live stream. We want authentic content. And so I think it's really a barbell strategy, just like with Solana. You have Solana Bitcoin, that's the barbell strategy. Mm-hmm. In streaming, or in content, to me, it's live streaming and then like clips, like small curated segments that really punch a point home, and those can have edits and tweaks and stuff. But like taking the live stream to create clips, to me, that's where this all goes. And so we have an intern that does it for us, and he also is now running the socials. So love or hate the socials, I have some help in getting it done.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, I'm so excited to bring you on, Edgar. I remember the first time we met. So the first time I met Edgar was in 2021. I recently joined Paxos, and it was at a Solana hacker house back when they had them in New York. And it was in Soho at some like, I don't know, vibey kind of place. It was so dark in there. Solana used blackouts. It was so dark you could barely see. And what's funny is that time I ended up getting COVID. So it was just after everyone got the vaccinations and we all think we're all safe. And then, like, sure enough, like me and a bunch of other people got COVID from that event. But I was like, if you're going to get COVID, it's going to be at an event like this, where you're basically in a basement in a black-lit room with a bunch of sweaty,
in a dark basement with 300 people.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like the place where COVID will thrive. And so, anyways, I remember meeting Edgar. You had bleached hair or half bleached hair or something.
I did.
And immediately started talking. And I realized I am way in over my head relative to a lot of the peers and developers at Solana. And, 4 or 5 years later, I'm still way over my head compared to you and others at Solana. So
I think that's a consistent feeling. I've learned to just get comfortable with it, right?
Yeah.
Like I wake up every single day and I feel like I'm chasing the internet. Someone's doing something amazing. The pace of innovation is just outrunning everybody. And I get up and I try to sprint. I catch up a little bit. I go to sleep. I do it again. Right.
Yep.
And now it's been that way for so long. I just think everyone's feeling that way. So I'm learning to get comfortable with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And actually, you know what? I was going to ask you a question about mtnDAO. And when I do that, I'm going to post this in our mtnDAO chat, just so everyone gets a reminder.
Absolutely. I'll tweet this while we're at it. If you guys are listening to the stream, definitely go like, retweet, give us some amplification so we can get this out there to more people.
Yeah. So you have let's say a colorful history in the Solana ecosystem compared to the average developer.
Sure.
But one of the things that you have done, I think that's most remarkable of all the things you've built, the one that I think has been the most special is mtnDAO. And you've had 8 iterations of it by now. I know Barrett is with you. He's your co-founder, but it's truly been a special event for the developers of Solana to up-level their game, but also build deep friendships. And I think, in reflecting on today, where we had an assassination yesterday, it's 9/11 today. It's just, it's been really tough. And I remember just meeting people at mtnDAO and feeling like it's home. Or a home away from home, a home that's like right next to amazing mountains, but like it was my people. And I applaud you for creating mtnDAO. And so maybe let's start, we'll get into Scout, but let's start with mtnDAO, because that's been going for years. It's something that's defined your place in the Solana ecosystem. How did it start? And, what were some of the main decisions and highlights for you over the years?
Yeah, totally. So for those who are less familiar, mtnDAO is a month-long co-working experience that we run in Salt Lake City, Utah, every February and every August. The magic of mtnDAO, like you mentioned, Carl, like we're finishing up our 4th year. We're going into year 5 next year. We've had countless hackathon winners come out, thousands of developers come through, hundreds of teams. We've had some really amazing sponsors throughout the Solana ecosystem, everyone from the foundation themselves all the way to brand new up and coming startups over the years. Some that were tiny startups in the beginning and have grown and are now massive companies, right? That we've kind of had the chance to watch evolve over the years. And I love the mtnDAO story because I think it's very pure. mtnDAO started by accident, effectively. Barrett, my co-founder, is a longtime friend. We were friends in college. We went through math, data science, machine learning together. We got into crypto around the same time. He actually introduced me to Solana. So I had more exposure in Ethereum. And my big problem with it, it sounds cheesy to say given where we've ended up, but my big problem with Ethereum back in 2017, 2018 was all the performance barriers, right? I was like, hey, I think, this stuff is really cool. It just doesn't feel like you can build anything on it, right? And at the time, I wasn't really in a position where like, I would launch my own blockchain or solve things at kind of that infra level. And so I sort of stayed away from crypto. I didn't get too seriously into it. And in 2020, Barrett comes up to me one day. He's thinking about building derivative products, right? And he goes, hey, I've been looking at UMA and I found this thing called Solana. And the thing about Solana, it's this new blockchain and it's fast and it's cheap. And I remember he said something really important in that conversation that really kind of, I think, shaped both of our journeys. He said, the thing I really like is the more I talk to Solana people, the more I find them really smart. And I was like, okay, right. So he brings me into the Solana ecosystem. I remember the first group of people that we met was at Bitcoin Miami in 2021. There was a Solana brunch and, got brought in and met a lot of OGs. I remember Austin Federa was there, saw him for the first time. Some of the Bartosz and Jordan were there, right? Some of those early folks. Kept finding the people just like really smart, really interesting. Around that time in 2021, Barrett and I had been part of a tech accelerator called OnDeck. I was in the process of selling the company that I was running prior to getting into crypto at the time. Barrett was just starting up what would become his first company in Solana. And we had run this hacker house that was kind of a popular trend during COVID, right? So, COVID, a lot of people isolating, difficult to socialize. In this tech accelerator called OnDeck, people started throwing these hacker houses. They would, rent a cool mansion, get 30, 40 friends together, and, then you'd be able to socialize.
Yeah, because you're all isolated together. It's like, great, we're all in here. And like, we either all get sick or we're all fine. But assuming everyone's fine when they come in, we're here together and we have a shared experience and we're isolated.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so Baird and I went to one in LA, loved it. But then winter was coming and everyone around us was trying to escape winter. Right. We were in Los Angeles. They were like, let's stay in LA. Let's go to, I don't know, Austin, whatever. And Baird and I, huge skiers. We said, hey, the last thing we want to do is avoid winter. Let's throw a hacker house in Salt Lake City. And so that was the beginning of 2021. So actually Barrett discovered Solana and had the Solana conversation with me at Mountain Compound, which is mtnDAO V0. It's what happened before mtnDAO. Yeah. Wow. And that was, something like 25 kids came through. Barrett and I funded it entirely ourselves. We charged people for beds. We made most of our money back. It was a really fun hacker house, right? We rented the house from a billionaire action sports legend whose wife had put it up on VRBO, which is common in Salt Lake City, but we ended up meeting him. There's a whole story there that
That's great.
I won't regale you with this time. Yeah. So a year goes by. We're entering 2022 and Barrett and I are both in the Solana ecosystem. We've had some friends that have also, gotten in, they're building things. And, a few of those people say, hey, you should throw this hacker house again. It was really fun last year. And we go, okay, we can do that. Right. Let's maybe tweet about it. Let's see if we can get some new Solana friends interested. And 250 people signed up. Which is about 10x what we had.
You're like, holy shit, what are we got to do?
Yeah. So we're like, okay, I don't think this house can fit 250 people, like nowhere close, right? And we go, okay, like, I guess we need to find an office. And I guess we're running an event. We start kind of figuring out, like, what do we want mtnDAO to look like? And I think around that time, the magic pillars that have kept mtnDAO what it is started getting established, even though we weren't really, we didn't know if we were going to run it ever again. We didn't know how often we were going to run it. At the time, we were like, let's say if the first one goes well. At the time,
it's entrepreneurial. It's like when you're an entrepreneur, you try shit and see what works, right? You have a thesis, you try it, it's like, great, if this works, we'll do it again. But if not, it was fun. And like, we had a great time. It's the exact right approach.
You know what? I'll tell you, it was definitely entrepreneurial, right? But Baird and I were working on our own DeFi projects at the time. And I think one of the things that helped MtnDAO win, we had a lot of ambition. We were putting a lot of work into trying to figure out what was going to work with our DeFi projects, our day jobs. With MtnDAO, we just did what we wanted to see in the world.
Yep.
We said, look, like, even if it doesn't grow into something, massive or successful, we just want to see it. We want to will this into the world, right? Yep. And we wanted to build it in a way that meant something for us, right? And I think the important piece there is that we were our own customer, right? Mm-hmm. And the customer that we sold MtnDAO to from a business perspective was the same archetype. So when we were thinking about, in this case, when we were thinking about building something for ourselves, we were successfully thinking about how to build something for our customers.
Yeah.
And kind of the final piece that I think led to MtnDAO really thriving is that in terms of our competitive landscape, even though we didn't really think about having MtnDAO competitors or anything like that, from a competitive landscape, the people building competitive products did not understand the customer. Mm-hmm. A lot of hacker houses in crypto, they were focusing on, the wrong things. They had flashy venues. They were paying a lot of money for lavish events that ultimately produced, I think, awesome surface level networking events, maybe great places for COVID to thrive, right? Yeah. But not phenomenal places for developers to do what they love to do the most, which is just build, right? Yeah. And so what we did with MtnDAO
for BD folks. It's like the BD folks, like, this is such a good event. I met 30 people and a bunch of leads, and it was this cool place, but not what developers need to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think the whole ecosystem's matured a bit, right? Like, now we kind of understand which events are more for BD people, which events are more for developers, how to structure those things. I think Solana did a really great job with splitting Accelerate into 2 events this year. Mm-hmm. But we're talking 2021, 2022, everyone's trying to figure stuff out, right? Yep. And so we do something really simple. We get an office space. That office space comes with great Wi-Fi, high quality office equipment. We go, it has to be open 24/7, right? Because crypto runs crazy hours. And that was it. That was the start, right? And if I'm to pinpoint one thing that I think we've done really well in the past 4 years, it's been keeping to that foundation. We get an office space, high quality equipment, great Wi-Fi, and it's open 24/7. And that's it. We don't overprogram it, right?
Yep.
And here we are, 8 versions later, a absolute just army of sponsors and participants throughout the Solana ecosystem that, have now made MtnDAO what it is, right? Yeah. Obviously, Baird and I, we do the little setup, we kind of loft it up, but it's really the people who come and participate that make it what it is.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a project that despite it being my side project for now 4 years, it's the longest project that I've ever been involved in, right? And it holds a very special place in my heart.
Yeah. What I love, and I was there this past time where it was the beginnings of the SIMD proposal. I forget the number at this point, but the one to adjust the inflation. And the way I think about MtnDAO is a little bit closer to a town square. So at a conference, everyone has an agenda. By definition, here's my talk. Here's what it's on. These are the points I want to make. At MtnDAO, you don't come with an agenda. You come to work, but then through that, it's like you're in the small village in the small town, and you're going to have lots of conversations. So I remember, talking to Brian Long and talking to all these guys at MtnDAO. Literally, the Fire to Answer team swung by, and we're just all hanging out, talking about the pros and cons and how to think about the right inflation rate. But that's not going to happen at a conference. It's just not the types of conversations. But it's at the community square is where it is, and so. Forever success. And I hope MtnDAO, I hope we're hanging out at MtnDAO 15, over the next, let's say over the next, 7 years from now, or whatever, the 3.5 years from now, if the math.
I'm starting to think about how we, cause the iPhone, right? They're at the iPhone 17. The numbers are getting crazy.
Yep.
Samsung's at 26, right? Yep. I'm starting to think about, do we go the YC naming? We're coming up to that iPhone X, moment.
I'll
with
tell you what,
Mountain DAO 10,
I
just
think
sell.
I think you keep it. And here's the thing. I think going forward, or maybe even retroactively, creating swag from specific Mountain DAOs, like Mountain DAO 3. And you could imagine, hey, if like Mountain DAO's around 5-10 years from now, and you've got a hoodie from Mountain DAO 4, like that's pretty fucking cool. It's like it's like truly retro, and it shows your OG. It's funny, people tell me how long they're in crypto. The real, the number one way to know, you look at their Telegram date. They just recently, they released in the past 6 months. Like now, you can see when they joined Telegram. You can tell exactly when people joined crypto is when they got on when they got on Telegram. And so, like, oh yeah, you've been in crypto for all these years, and your Telegram's 2 years old. Sorry, guy, I don't buy it.
That's definitely true. You can't fake the Telegram date.
Yeah, and maybe in the future you can't fake the Mountain DAO hoodie.
Fair.
So let's go on. So you have worked on a number of really exciting things. And, I would love, we don't have enough time. I would love to talk about the market because right now we have everything. Totally. There's never been a better time to be a builder in Solana.
Yep.
I just think unequivocally. I mean, the trends are exploding all over the place, whether it's meme coins, creator coins, collectible capital markets, DATs, like whatever you're building, there is now more capital, more interest than there's ever been, and it's easier to build than it's ever been. Our infrastructure is, 10x better than when we started. Even our block explorers are radically better, though I wish they would still improve more. But like, there's so many things going on. And being in the space for a while, you have a really good landscape. You decided to start with Dark Research, I guess a series of incubations, and the first major one is Scout. So talk to me a little bit about Dark Research. What is the thesis behind it? Who is the team? And then why on earth do we need another terminal?
Yeah, very fair. Okay, so let me give you kind of the origin story of Dark, because I think Dark, like you mentioned, I've been in the space for a while. I've seen lots of different ways to build successfully. Dark, for me, is a culmination of my theses. It's a culmination of my views on how to thrive in this ecosystem. As a project, Dark also started accidentally. So maybe this is a trend. All my best stuff starts accidentally.
Accidentally, yeah.
So the Dark token initially got created in December of 2024 because I was quietly playing around with some generative AI live streaming tech when Pump initially launched their live streaming feature. We had little AI avatars kind of talking and messing around, interacting with the chat, things like that. And I really had no plan to do anything with it. You need a token to live stream on Pump. I wanted to get that done. So launch Dark, and it sat quiet for months. In April, I was in a state where I was thinking a lot about AI products. I was working in AI before crypto, so I had experience.
And we had that AI boom where all of a sudden everyone and their mother was launching AI things, and Virtuals was trading at $3 billion, and so we had. I forgot. You almost forget that was less than a year ago. Where it was,
I mean, it feels like a decade ago.
AI
right?
everything, right? So that's also the context of what's going on.
Totally. But I will tell you, like when that AI meta was exploding, my one thought was everybody is doing this wrong. And at the time, I was looking at the DevOps and infrastructure opportunity, right? Look, I think that the AI meta and all of the developers that pushed, last year made some really important progress. But if you look at tech stacks that exist from that era, they're early in exploring like that agentic experience, but they really struggle with scale, right? I think that's why we kind of saw like things popped. There were some really popular avatars that talked on Twitter, and then nothing else happened. People kind of said, okay, is this it? Like, what else can we do? Right. And so, I was thinking about agentic experiences. I was thinking about infrastructure. I was kind of, trying to figure things out. I really loved Anthropic's model context protocol push at the time. I was spending time there. And then, one day, internet trenchers deep in the forest find the Dark token. Someone ties the deployer wallet to a public NFT that I have, public Mad Lad, and writes a thread and says, hey, you know, I think Edgar launched his token. Edgar's got a background in Solana. Like, this could be interesting. And, you know, this had happened before, right? And we'd seen a lot of developers kind of look at these types of situations and say, you know what, like, I'm not going to do anything with it, or, you know, I don't have any plans with it. It was just a test token. Like, let's move on, right? For me, I was kind of in this place where, one, like, I was looking at an AI space, seeking to do more with it, seeking to invest more with it, right? And then two, one of the important theses that, you know, led me to focusing on Dark more formally, and then, you know, that I think has shaped Dark since then, is my view that startups today should be built distribution first, right? What do I mean by that? I mean that, you know, today, when we talk about it being the best time to build, it's not just the best time to build from a capital perspective. It's not just the best time to build from an AI tooling perspective that makes software easier, right? It's also the best time to build because you can get attention on the internet faster, more efficiently, and more effectively than ever before, right? And I think tokens are a massive part of that, right? Yep. You and I have talked about the value of attention tokens or distribution tokens. Yep. Just the general value that a token existing brings to a project for months, yep. right? And I think crypto has been trying to figure out where the token fits in for its entire existence, yep. right? Despite the fact that the token concept is so foundational to crypto, it's definitely gone through its own chapters of self-discovery.
We keep
right?
experimenting,
Right? We're still doing it. We're still doing it, right? And so, you know, with this, all of a sudden, like, I was sitting here with a distribution opportunity, right? A ton of people were paying attention. A ton of people were excited about Dark. A ton of people were excited about the prospect of something interesting happening with it. I said this would be, you know, against my principles to just like throw this out and let this go, right? This is an opportunity staring me in the face.
Yep.
At the same time, I wouldn't take credit for for being early to internet capital markets, but I was thinking a lot about kind of this value of, you know, unprecedented opportunity to bootstrap projects on the internet. Right. And I've been through all kinds of funding structures. I've bootstrapped startups and I've sold them successfully. I've raised venture funding. Yep. I've now, you know, gone through the internet capital market kind of journey. I think there's, you know, every approach is great. Yep. Right. And one of the things that I talked about a lot is, you know, I've had phenomenal investors, and venture is a great way to build and get started in so many ways. Right. Yep. But I think there's trade-offs, and I think that ICM presents a really interesting, unprecedented opportunity for.
Oh, sorry. If you're saying bad things about VC, the stream's over. Sorry, guys. We need to wrap.
Yeah, I actually hate that.
Those technical errors are back. I don't know what to say.
I can't say anything. You'll clip me. You'll clip me, and you'll maneuver. You know. No, like, look, I absolutely love venture funding. Is so awesome on so many fronts, right? And I love it. And, you know, I look forward to spending more time with it in the future, but I think ICM is just such an interesting opportunity right now. And paired with an opportunity to build more productively, right? The AI driven developer productivity that you get, you can build smaller teams. You can, there's a term called seed strapping, which I think typically refers to teams that raise a seed round and then don't ever raise again. Mm-hmm. Right. But I think about it the opposite way. You can get to a Series A without raising money, or with raising a lot less money, way faster, way easier. Right. And then grow from there. Yep. And, you know, that gives you some really interesting opportunities in terms of experimentation. So, you know, all of this is jumbling up in my head. Right. I'm thinking about it and I go, look, let's do something with Dark. Right. So we formalize a community. We start exploring different product avenues. We start exploring different go-to-market, right? And, you know, we failed a bunch, right? Pivoted a bunch. We were spending time on MCP infrastructure. I still have a view that like a decentralized model context protocol network on chain can be really interesting for the agent economy. I just think we're way too early for that, right? On the order of years, probably. And eventually we got to looking at, okay, what is interesting at the app level to build for crypto? Mm-hmm. And I think right now, when you look at where consumer product evolution is going, where app level evolution is going in crypto, I think that's trading products. And everyone's building a trading app, right? There's 1,000 of them out there.
I mean, trading is the only thing that has product market fit in crypto.
And I think we're comfortable with that now.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's always been true,
Yep.
or it's been largely true. But I think we were kind of experimenting in different directions. And then this year, I feel like the community really came together and said, look, we want to trade.
Yep.
Right. And that's great. Look, as an entrepreneur, right, I think building what people want is a beautiful North Star to move to. And, so I was looking at trading opportunities as like a really important kind of sector. Right. And then I started thinking, okay, what are we missing? What are we missing in the space? Right. And I paired this agentic work that I've been thinking about with this trading interest into what I think will formally be the first AI native trading terminal.
Okay.
What do I think the value is here? Right. One of the reasons that I started my career in AI and something that I've always been in love with for a long time is that AI's goal at the end of the day is to get people what they want faster, clearer, more effectively, right? The ideal software interaction experience is the Tony Stark experience, right? You walk into a room, you go, I want to see all the answers, and you just all the answers show up, right? And I think that means having really dynamic software that understands users really well and in real time. And that's artificial intelligence, right? Now, we are definitely not there yet, but I think we are making some really unprecedented steps towards getting to more dynamic, more personalized software. And I think it's an exciting time to build for that. So that's what we're going after with Scout, right?
Yeah,
we're building a trading terminal.
Unpack what that means. So a dynamic, dynamic software, the pros and cons. And let me just tee this up a little bit to make sure I understand. Pros are it's customized to your workflows. So you can do what you need to do faster, better, maybe even cheaper. The challenge with dynamic is like customer support. Like, how do I actually, if things are going wrong and you're trying to triage a bug, well, if everyone has a different state of what they expect and there's kind of like no norm that you're trying to work through on the dev side, you're like, holy shit, this is going to be tough. And then secondly is like shared experience. And what I mean is, like, we all know the quirks in Phantom. Like, oh, I hate that. Or like but if somebody says, hey, you open up Phantom, you're trying to know about something, you do this, you do this, you do this, cool, you're in. Like, everyone has that shared experience. But if you start to do it depends on the spectrum, of course, like totally dynamic. Now it's like, well, I can't even onboard you to this app because it's a single player experience. Or, hey, I'm trying to figure out this. I was using interactive brokers last night to try to short something, and it's the shittiest UI you've ever imagined. But like, I was like, oh, I don't know how to do this. Why ask Grok? And Grok told me how to do it. Well, like, if we all have a different experience, then I can't even ask an AI unless you have the AI itself in the product that like is walking me through it. So that's like maybe like some pros and cons. Like, how do you think about dynamic software and what it means for a trading terminal versus if I open Pump terminal, Bullpen terminal, Axiom terminal, it's kind of a uniform experience. Oh, I think I lost your audio for a second. Or it's me. Stream, can you guys hear Edgar? Or can you hear me? Nope, which one? Just Carl. I don't know what happened. Maybe How
are we doing?
Whoa. Okay, so it's like yeah, it's basically Edgar robot. Yeah, it sounds good. All right, we're getting Edgar back on.
All right, how's this?
You sound like Optimus Prime, bro. Is there like a way we could turn off the headphones or try? And maybe it's on the pump side, by the way. It could be on the pump side.
Try.
He's seriously a cyborg right now. It's the same, which means it could be a.
What about now?
Ooh.
Okay. I'm going to put the headphones on, then I'll tell you guys what happened.
Okay.
Somebody called me a good girl in the chat. That's cute.
Good. He does exactly what I say.
He can be a very good girl. Those that know. Okay, so check this out. Dark's origin story, me playing with Gen AI on Pump.
Yeah.
Right? Fucked up my video and my audio software on my computer forever.
No.
Because I installed all these plugins that I was less familiar with. And now sometimes it will just shift to using like a virtual. So
bro,
that's what
I was like, what
happened.
is going on? This is
that's
wild.
The cost of experimentation there.
Yeah. You need to have your DJing laptop, and then you're like, oh, if I ever need to raise venture dollars, here's my credible setup.
You know, I ask myself what the difference between those two personas is all the time now, right? Yep. We're in an unprecedented consumer era. So
yeah. All right. Well, so anyways, we were talking about dynamic products. So like, what does an AI first terminal mean? And in particular around dynamicism within the product.
Yep. Yeah. So this is a typical risk reward problem, I think. The upside is software that feels better, right? The downside is software that feels less shaky, less trustworthy, right? I think trust, especially in financial products, is really, really important. I think AI across the board, and frankly, I think technological evolution across the board challenges trust and comfort, right? We see this with OpenAI, with Anthropic, right? They talk a lot about AI alignment, right? How can we get comfortable that AI is going to do what we expect it to do, right? Look, bugs, right? Some of the examples you brought up, I think those are the easy parts, right? Solving for like a UI bug, UX bug, I can take you through like building, generic frameworks that leverage modular components that are easy to test and easier to debug, things like that. That's typical software engineering. I think what gets really difficult is when you start talking about AI trading for you, background agents, right? Which I think is really, when I think about Scout, today I think Scout is, let's say, not interesting, right? Or as least interesting as it'll be from now until the future. Today, Scout gives you some additional intelligence. Tomorrow, or more properly in a few weeks, when we launch Scout 0.3, you'll start seeing a dynamic UI. So you'll be chatting with an AI, but it won't just be talking back to you. It will actually be changing what your front end looks like and giving you a little bit more of that Tony Stark magic.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, let me ask you a question. So are you able to pull up a demo?
Not right now.
Okay.
Not right now. And here's why. I'll tell you why. Because I think 0.3 is so much more interesting than 0.2, what we have live right now.
Yep.
And 0.3, we're building mobile first. In fact, I've got my Solana Seeker over there on the desk. Just mobile demos are a little tougher, I think, on stream and things like that. So for the time being, I'll keep it under wraps, but hopefully soon.
That sounds great. No, we always, if possible, we always do a demo. I'd say 90% of our streams have had a demo with, of course, extenuating circumstances. Sometimes they can't. Like we had a DPIN one. I was like, all right, we're not going to do a DPIN demo. That's like tougher to get it in like 5 minutes. But like the general thesis of the channel is like, if we're not showcasing the cool stuff that people are building, they're like, what are we doing? We're just a bunch of talking heads, right? And so next time you're on, or next time I come on your show, either one, we'll
definitely
do it. We'll do the demo. But for now,
we'll slot the demo for next time for sure.
So then talk me through really good points there on the trade-offs. So what is, and I remember, I think we just talked and you said, hey, like even simple things like making sure you're finding the right token are actually not simple. Like you would think they're simple, but they're not. And so walk me through, like, as you're building this product, unless you're a hardcore trader, like who are you building this for? Is it like Barrett in the background? Like, who are you building this for? And like, what are the set of features you're prioritizing to really have an AI first and a dynamic first trading terminal?
Yeah. So I'll tell you something I think is really fascinating. Since I've started working on Scout, I have learned firsthand that everybody from the person that's coming to crypto for the very first time to the most professional traders that I know are having trouble finding the right token. That's crazy to me, right? I know professional traders that have accidentally bought into the wrong tokens. And they're sitting on the internet all day long, right? They're as sophisticated as it gets. So, I'll kind of answer, who are we building Scout for a little bit more directly in a second. But I think there are tons of opportunities that are still low hanging fruit that aren't all even necessarily that hard to solve. I think they've just been overlooked. But let's talk about who Scout is for, right? I think the beauty of dynamic software is that it can evolve to fit a broad audience with a more unified software engineering effort, right? So, we talked about the risks of dynamic software. It looks different for everybody. But if you can build software that can look different ways for different people successfully, right, with one tech stack, then you can address a much broader audience much faster. Right? We see this with ChatGPT right now, right? Your conversations with chat are probably much different than my conversations with chat that are way different than my girlfriend's conversations with chat, right? And chat.
My girlfriend doesn't chat with GPT for what it's worth. She thinks AI is a use of the world's water and bad for what we should be doing. So that's a separate issue. But anyway, sorry.
There's trade-offs there too. There's
I have
trade-offs
to
there
inject
too,
some
right?
humor at some point here and there. But your girlfriend might be using ChatGPT, mine is not.
That's fair. I don't know my girlfriend's political views on ChatGPT, so maybe she feels like your girlfriend does, and she just hasn't brought it up.
Maybe we'll have to see about that double date. We'll have to see the time.
Yeah. We'll set them up, and we'll kind of, we can do a live stream. We can put them on live stream. That'll be great. No, I mean, look, I think I want smart traders, and I want more retail traders to come to chat, to come to Scout, and I want them to get what they're looking for, right? Now, in the beginning, we're focused on one thing because I think it's important to keep your scope narrow as a startup, and that's token discovery. We want you to find the next token that you're excited about in Scout. That's the goal, right? And that's why we talk about search, right? Is like you have to be able, if you're going to be using an app to discover your next token, if you have a token and you want to find it, that has to be solved for you, right? And I think that's like both a really specific engineering effort and a really exciting thing to test with different user groups across the sophistication spectrum, right? And so I'm talking to everybody from people who don't have any crypto on chain, right? And just kind of whether they're friends of mine or they're investment bankers that I know from my old life, right? Who are kind of saying, okay, I'm thinking about it. How can you help me? All the way to professional traders or folks that, have been really deep in the trenches, some at small capital levels, some at large capital levels. And I think the beauty here is that, they all still have the same problems. They're all going, hey, I don't know how to find the right token, or, I don't know how to get comfortable with the information around a token. And, I just want somebody to talk to, right? And that really sets in like the value of a conversational AI, which I think people have gotten comfortable with through ChatGPT, through Claude, and it sets us up for further success. So we're definitely focused on traders, and we're focused on token discovery to start.
Wow. And so so I'm curious, there's two things that come to mind. One is brand. And like when people think Scout, what do they think? Is that something you spend any time on at this point? Or as an entrepreneur that's built many things, is that just like so far out? You're like, I just need to win first 10, then 100, then 1,000 customers. And like brand is the least of my worries. Like, because you've been through this entrepreneurial cycle more than most founders, I actually think it's really interesting to hear like kind of like the discovery process and the solidification of the product. And like, what are the things that you emphasize during certain stages of the company's growth?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say I am 95% brand and distribution, 5% product, let's say, right? Now I'm going to pair that with something really interesting. I've been, an entrepreneur for north of 6 years full time now, right? Yep. And part time before that. And my entire life, I've been chasing distribution, right? There's a famous saying: first time founders, they think about products; second time founders, they think about distribution, yep. Right? Right now, today is the first time in my entire career that I am happy with the distribution that Dark and Scout have been getting relative to where the product is. And I feel like what's lagging now is the product, right? I can get on comfortably on this stream and say, look, Scout sucks right now. Yep. I'm not happy with it. It can be a lot better, right? Yep. And I think the reason I'm so comfortable saying that, and the way that we got answers to why does it suck or how can it be better, has all come from building up brand and building up distribution. Yep. Right. Because at the end of the day, if you have 1,000 people yelling, hey, Edgar, the product you built sucks, you can go back to them and you can say, why does it suck? What do you want me to build? How do you want me to fix it? Right. Yep. If nobody's talking about you or your product and there's just absolutely no interest, right, then you have no idea. Are you building something, awesome, or are you building something irrelevant? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I am very, very brand focused, very distribution focused.
There's so Bruno was one of the guests on our channel. You know Bruno well.
Yeah, of course.
He's incredible. One of the things that Bruno's exceptional at a lot of things, and he works in the token investing space. And I'm not going to name specific companies, but there's kind of two different companies I've seen. There's more, but let's say his and another one in the token investing space. And the one team was and has been so product focused, product geniuses, so product focused. And, Bruno, as you know, he's everywhere. Bruno is everywhere. You can't be everywhere and spend a ton of time on product. You just can't do both. But everyone in crypto knows Bruno, and he talks to everyone about their token investing needs and what the problem is. And, as I was seeing both of these companies grow, the one thing that came to mind is if at the end of the day, the super product folks, if they don't nail the product, if they think they got it and they iterate and they just don't get there, it's well, they probably just, they got nothing to stand on. They don't have a really deep set of relationships and brand and connections. It's well, you try the product and you're really smart at it, but it didn't work. Okay, great. Well, now you're kind of stuck. Versus Bruno, if he tries a product and it doesn't work, well, he still has a network of hundreds of people, if not thousands, that will respond to him in seconds in Telegram that he can go ahead and iterate with on the next set of products. And and you know this as well as I, that early stage entrepreneurship is all about iteration against a thesis. And if you focus on distribution, you're constantly learning and getting that feedback about what do you want to build. The worst thing you can do is be I have a conviction, but you don't validate it with anyone. And then even when you want to validate it, you don't have trusted sources that are going to give you really good feedback.
Yep.
So I think you're at a really good position now to be okay, I have a really strong network of people that are going to give me really critical, hard feedback. And great. Well, now I can synthesize this, align it against my target customer, and focus on the next feature.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'll tell you, look, I've been, a workaholic my entire life, right? I'm in the office 16 hours a day, whatever it is. Yep. I'm working 7 days a week. My dad keeps asking when I'm going to take vacation. When I was younger, I would spend 16 hours a day writing code, right? Yep. And what I learned is the amount of time that it takes you to ship a product is, I talked about being 95% brand distribution, 5% product. The amount of time that it takes you to ship a product is 95% knowing what to ship and 5% shipping that. Yeah. Right. And I think this is even more true in the age of AI, right? I mean, I set off background agents and they do incredible work for me, right? Not perfect. I have this whole view on augmented coding versus vibe coding we can do another show on. But, if you know what to build, right? If you know what's going to capture user attention, you can do it very quickly. And so, when you think about, okay, how do you move with velocity? Really, the answer is get better at understanding what to build. The answer is not get better at building things once you successfully understand, right? And that has really changed my view on, everything, right? Nowadays, I spend a lot more time sitting there and synthesizing my thoughts, getting clarity, talking to users, because that's really where the answers lie.
Yeah. And I love like different growth hacks, like the lean startup. I mean, obviously the lean startup isn't perfectly applicable to every company, but just the concepts around like, hey, if you want to test if a feature is desired, like put a button for it in your product.
Yeah.
And then just see how many people click it. Like the dumbest things, but like, well, great. Now you actually validated people are going to build this versus building the whole fucking thing. And then like, well, nobody wants it. So like all of those like ways to synthesize customer sentiment, because customers lie. So how can you identify their true sentiment versus, simply just asking them what they want and like validate it. And then like, great, now I know exactly what I need to build it. And to your point, the cost to build is going to zero.
Yeah.
But the cost to get really good customer feedback is not going to zero.
Absolutely.
In fact, I mean, maybe this is so bold to say the cost to build is going to zero, but the cost to get attention is going exponential. It's increasingly harder. And so all of a sudden, that's the main challenge, is getting the good feedback, not building the product.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I think it's a mix of like age old, truisms, right?
Yeah.
Or age old truths. It's still about understanding people. It's about understanding your customers. It's about being able to take hard feedback. It's about being able to throw things out you thought would work that actually don't work and they suck, right? And it's definitely, pairing that with some of the new age, attention games, right? There is so much content out there on the internet. There's so many people trying to figure things out. So many people that say, hey, I can build this, right? Because again, cost of building is going to zero. That becoming the person who knows what to build, I think, is more and more valuable.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Anything on Scout that we didn't cover yet? So like, first of all, can people use Scout today? And if so, what are the types of workflows that it's best for? And by the way, I love the idea of an AI first wallet. And specifically, I want a wallet. Like if you think about it, especially real traders, like they want an army of traders, right? Like if you think about it, the best trader is not necessarily the one that's at the screen all day. It's the person that's orchestrating the entire risk portfolio for the firm with a desk of 10 people, where you have the actual trader, you have the researchers, and all working together. Like that's actually the person you want to be a lot of the times, right? Because then you actually have the most control over the situation.
Yeah,
and
you're the fund manager, right?
You're the fund manager, and or the PM, which I always got confused when I started meeting these Citi folks, Citibank, and they're like, "Oh, I'm a PM," and I was like, "Oh, what'd you build?" And they're like, "Oh, portfolio manager." I was like, "Oh, I see. We got a time out here. I'm not an SF anymore." But like, that's what people want, and I feel like with AI in a chatbot interface, especially, or some future version that combines data with chat, that's what you're getting. Like trading is not going to my Phantom wallet and then swapping an asset. Like that's not, sure, I'm doing a trade, but I am not trading. When you have an army of people working at your behest, doing exactly what you need in the time that you need it, that is to me real trading and real winning. And with AI first interface, I think that's the way to actually get there, where you can have all these, to your point, background jobs that are running, feeding you information, just like if you're on a real desk. Hey, boss, this is going on. What are we going to do? That's kind of like simulation is really what you're
so
doing.
I think you just hit on something. I'll give you one more tidbit about Scout 0.3, something we're really excited about, because I think you hit on something that is part of the secret sauce, the secret philosophy, right? Right now, today, most chat products, right? I get this question: why won't people just use ChatGPT? Right? It's a great question. ChatGPT, most chat products today, you open them up and they go, "Okay, say anything." Right? And you start some conversation. It's not how a fund is run. A fund is run with the example you just gave, where the fund manager. I remember I was in the office speaking with a fund manager. This was years ago, right? And him and I are talking, we're bullshitting about something, and one of his analysts runs in and he goes, "Hey, this just happened in the market. We have this open. What do you want to do?" Right? And that monitoring piece for the market, I think, is critical, absolutely critical, right?
And terminals don't have that today.
They don't have that today, right? So we are building Scout to be proactive first. When you go to Scout, it's not going to say, "Hey, you start the conversation, bud, like whatever you want to do, I'll do it." It's going to say, "Hey, Carl, here's the market. Here's your portfolio. Here's what I know about how you've been thinking about the world. And here's what I think you find interesting." Right. And I think that like proactivity first element, I think, is going to be really unique. And I think it's very trading specific.
Yeah. And it's proven. To your point, you're not experimenting. Like that's the way the real fucking world works today. But now, instead of needing to hire a bunch of traders for $800K a year,
Yeah.
you can just have Scout to make it
Yeah.
happen. That's
I
the
mean,
vision.
we talk about like, interesting opportunities, right? I have one of my startup philosophies is that successful startup opportunities, they exist in problem spaces that have been around for forever, right?
Mm,
And like the core of how trading has worked, the core
mhm.
of how information systems have worked,
Yep.
it has been the same
Yeah.
for centuries, right?
Yep.
It's just the technology that has changed, and with technological breakthroughs, new ways of getting the same thing have come around, right?
Yep.
There's a new way to run an army now.
Yep.
That's what's changed with AI, right? But running an army has been interesting since forever.
Yeah, we still
And
study
so I just want
Napoleon.
people to have their
There's
training
still
army.
lessons
Yeah.
to take from all those old generals.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. This has been a really great talk. Again, so much fun looking at the intersection of AI and crypto, but in a way that's not just about I'm going to tokenize an agent and people are going to buy it and it's going to go to 1 billion. Like this is actually like really AI helping you discern insights about the market and make the right trades or make more trades and good trades. As we step away here, anything about Q4 or just like the market generally that you're incredibly optimistic on and things that you're just like, I don't know, just I kind of don't like we're at this stage in the market and I don't like it. And it's kind of weird, but we move through it.
Interesting. So, first I'll give the shameless plug, right? Scout.trade. If you want to check out Scout right now, it's on O.2. And remember, O.2 sucks. O.3 is going to be a lot better.
Yep.
Follow Dark Research AI on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, follow Carl. In terms of what I like about the market and what I don't, I am forever an optimist. So I like a lot of things about, I think the Solana ecosystem has a lot more stability than it had, years ago,
100%
right?
uptime.
100% uptime. The network, the developer ecosystem, I think you've got really interesting clients across the board coming out at the validator level.
Yep.
You've got like really breakthrough apps, and you've got regulatory wins. There's so much going on, right? And I think, in moments where it feels like there is a lot going on, I think the right thing to do, as cheesy as it sounds, is to follow your heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Find something that you're excited about and go deep into it. Become one of the people that is most excited about whatever niche is calling you. Because that's the way to push, that's the way to stand out and break through. In terms of, what I think is weird, I have some like really high level macro views on society. I think like in a post scarcity world, we have moved largely away from like real utility focused problems to a lot of like entertainment problems. I think that's why we've seen like, the attention economy really grow. I think we're playing a lot more, I didn't come up with this, but like, I think we're playing a lot more games in our life. And gamification is starting to be this like deeply embedded, sophisticated kind of, mechanism that exists through products.
Yeah.
And so I think it's kind of weird. It's a little bit, dystopian, right? But I don't know. In my limited experience, I haven't been on this earth for super long. I think that's kind of humanity's like path towards evolution, right? There's always a path towards a dystopian future, and there's always a path towards a healthier, better future.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is in the way that we decide to view and handle the like new levers that come around for us, right? I think right now that's crypto, that's AI. There's obviously global politics that are always going on, right?
Yep.
So I think all of that is kind of, it's a little weird. It's a little weird to kind of juggle.
Yeah.
We're still post-COVID, right?
Yeah.
I think that's, looking back, this is going to be a case study for humanity these few years. But overall, I'll say like, I'm super, super excited about, Solana at the micro level, right?
Yep.
Developers in the ecosystem at the micro level, crypto in the US at the more macro level.
Yep.
And I think internet software and the internet's evolution at like the biggest level. So generally I'm pretty optimistic.
Yeah. I'm optimistic too. It's funny. Sometimes I have days where I'm like an incredible pessimist and I'm like, I'm going to go buy a place in New Hampshire, go buy 100 acres and just fucking anchor down and just like live this thing out. And at times I'm like, holy shit, there's so much opportunity and I can't do enough. There's like literally thousands of things I can do. And I just got to figure out which one to do. But I think, the big thing there's so much you said there that's really good, but like the one piece to builders is like be best in the world or close to best in the world at something. It's like if there's one thing I don't like about VC, well, let's say two things. If there's two things I don't like about VC, there's so much I love. It's like you'll never be best in the world at something as a VC, most likely, because unless you're at a larger firm, you just don't have the time. Like I'm helping portfolio companies every day with different things they need, and I'm like, you just can't get best in the world. You can get really good. You're not going to be best in the world as somebody who's just like unencumbered to go pursue exactly what their heart desires. And the second thing is that, as you see, the hard part is you can't make decisions. And so VC is all about the art of influence, but at the end of the day, like we're not the decision maker. And so we see founders make exceptionally good choices and we see founders make exceptionally bad choices. And at the end of the day, we're loyal above anything else. And so we're going to support you if we invest in you, but it's hard seeing the bad choices. And you're like, if you just did this, like, I think things would be so much better.
Totally.
So we got to be like the parent, not parent as in authority, but like parent as in like we're just a bystander as we're watching the player on the
You got to
field.
let them go at some point, right?
And we're just like, you know what? They're going to make the decision. And at the end of the day, what we have found is like, it's more important for founders to trust their conviction than it is to listen to us, because we don't know all the context. We listen to founders because they are living this day in, day out. And so like at the end of the day, they have to trust their conviction, whether it's right or wrong. All we can do is try to steer it. But at the end of the day, if they start listening to us, that's also really bad, because I'm not the expert in RWAs. I'm not the expert in AI. I'm not the expert in this. So if somebody's listening to me, we're like, well, then you're really fucked. So
yeah. I mean, I think these are also like highly experimental fields, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody really knows the answer. A lot of this, seems a lot clearer in hindsight. And so that conviction is important to just move forward in the dark.
Yeah. In the dark. I think that's a good way to end it. Hashtag
I wrapped it up.
All right. Well, Edgar, thanks for a terrific conversation. So much fun. Go check out Scout if you're watching this clip. I am excited to play around more with it. And especially when is 3.0 coming out? Like when should people, or 0.3?
End of the month. Let's say that.
Oh, so we'll
try to get it out as soon as we can. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds great. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Carl. Talk soon.